Hey guys, this is Henry, goal coach at lifetravelgoals.com. The interview that I'm doing today with Joel Smith, he has created a brand called Living 6 to 12, and where he lives 6 to 12 years in multiple countries, developing countries, so he can work online, stretching his dollar, and living a fulfilling, happy, and awesome life that he likes. The goal I know of Joel and myself at the time of the interview and currently is to help people really find the passion, the love, the joy, the peace in their own lives, whether it's traveling, whether it's living where they're at, whether it's making huge changes or not. But the idea that we have is that being able to travel more, freeing your time, and also being able to work online allows you to have the type of lifestyle that you ultimately choose to have. As far as an intro goes, that's all I'm going to leave you with. Please, would love to hear your comments, questions. If you like this video with the interview with Joel, just please share it. It would really go a long way to helping out both of us and helping us to be able to continue helping people accomplish their goals in travel and in life. So thanks a lot, and without further ado. I'm doing my very first interview with entrepreneur, business owner, teacher, mentor, YouTuber, writer, marketer, and all over hustler. uh, Joel Smith. He's 30 years old, was born in Santiago, and currently living abroad in Thailand. Glad that we could do this interview. We've met almost 10 years ago now in
Wow.
Santiago. Did I miss anything in that intro? Anything?
No, wow. Thank you. I'm flattered. Very full introduction there. Um, can't believe it's been 10 years. Long time, huh?
Yeah. I was thinking about that today. I was like, man, it's gone by quick.
Yeah, well, time flies, so don't waste it, guys.
This is true. Just start off sort of getting to know you and who you are, what you do exactly. You sent me a list of a few of the companies that you have either are working with or have created and so forth. Which one would you want to start with? Like, just give maybe a little explanation of each of them or something like that.
So much. I guess I'm most excited about my YouTube channel right now because I'm going to be launching it later this week, and it's going to be all about how to travel as well as how to work from home while making money, so you could actually have a better life, enjoy more vacations, and live in a place like this full time.
Very nice, very nice. And how do you pronounce that town that you're living in or city?
It's pretty easy. The H is silent, so it's just Kolanta.
Kolanta. Okay.
Yeah, Ko means island in Thai. So anytime you see Ko, Koh, it's gonna be an island out here in Thailand.
Very nice. How big is the island that you're on?
Not sure of the actual footage, but it is the largest island in Thailand. It's also one of the least developed, which is really nice because Thailand is kind of known as a little bit of a party place. And, they have the full moon party, and some people get pretty crazy. But since Koh Lanta is a little bit less developed, there's less tourism, it's a little more peaceful, which is really nice. I enjoy it because I get to sit at places like this. I don't know if you guys can see this view, but this is my office in the mornings. This is where I drink my coffee and do work every morning. So I like the peacefulness of it, definitely.
Definitely. I would show you my view, but as I told Joel already, night here, so the timing for our meeting decided to not going to be able to see much more than the wall behind me.
Yeah, well, Florida's got a lot to offer too. Maybe next time I'll take the hit and we'll do it at night.
It's okay, not a problem at all. All right, so you're starting a YouTube channel. What's going to be the name of the YouTube channel and so forth?
Yeah, it's going to be Living 6 to 12. SIX, the number 2, and then TWELVE. And the reason is I'm living in each country a minimum of 6 months and a maximum of 12, giving me enough time to really get to know the culture and the people. Because when you live in a country versus just visiting it, it's so much more different. The experience is different. And then 12 is my cutoff because it's very easy to fall in love with a country like the Philippines or Thailand and want to stay longer than that. And my mission is to travel for at least 5 years and live in anywhere from 7 to 10 countries in that time.
Awesome. Okay, well, I know exactly how that is. Obviously, moved to Chile and was there for almost 8 years. So I can
Yeah.
understand how a place can sort of swallow you, and because you're enjoying yourself, you're having a good time, and you start getting involved in things. So if you were just like, to meet somebody on the street or meet somebody at a bar, hanging out with somebody, a friend of a friend, or something like that, what would be some of the things that you would, bring up in conversation if you were trying to, impress, or, you know, something that would be
Mm.
of interest? And, what's one of those things about your life that you think would be interesting for?
Oh man, I think that I think that it's important to be able to adapt to different situations and different people, and that might be one of my gifts is that I am able to kind of read the person and see what's hitting and what's not. So it's very hard to answer that question without having it be a base to base or case to case basis. I don't know how to spoke sometimes, but um, I know how to read people. I have a pretty interesting life without bragging. I mean, my parents are both American, but I was raised in Chile in South America, so I have that culture as well as the American culture. I'm used to traveling, over many borders to go from Chile to America every 2 years to visit relatives. So I think that my world culture is a little bit more than most, but definitely there are other people that have more than I do, and I want to keep traveling, get a lot more of that. But that's usually pretty interesting. Most people haven't left the country, if the state, or sometimes I'm sad to say even their city, and it's because they're comfortable or they're scared. And one of the things that I do want people to realize is the world is not a scary place. Um, and traveling is a lot easier. And that's one of the reasons you probably got stuck in Chile for 8 years, is because you got so comfortable, right?
It's true. Yeah. I mean, I was able to do a little bit of traveling, but you're right. It just, you start getting comfortable. You don't want to change things up. Sometimes that change is exactly what you need to be able to move forward. So, and also, one of the things that I find is really important, I've discovered sort of over the years, is, being able to place a time limit on what you're actually doing. Like you said, you were very clear about putting a time limit on what you're doing, 2 months to 12 months. You
Mm-hmm.
want to stay in a place.
Six to 12.
I'm sorry, my apologies.
Six to
So
12.
that gives you, a limit. So you have a goal, you're accomplishing that, and then at a certain time, there's an end point. And then it's time to reconsider, decide on what you're going to be doing next, which
and
is
and 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 that's not for everybody. It's not the only way to travel. It's actually very different, maybe not easy, because you build attachments and then you got to break them. But it's what I want to do, because I want to travel the world, but I also want to get to know the cultures, and that's why I did it. But I'm not saying that's the best way to travel by any means.
no, no, yeah, I completely understand what you mean. But and then again, we're not living in the Stone Ages anymore either. We can, hop online and have a conversation with somebody on the other side of the world. And, if you get through your traveling and you decide, hey, it's time for me, I want to actually do this. That's the nice thing about it. You can make the decision, you have a longer term goal, but, at some point you can just say, hey, my life's changing. I've grown a little bit. I want to do X now. And having the freedom and the ability and the knowledge of living in different places, you can make the best decision.
Assess the situation and sometimes change that goal. So yeah, it's a good point that you bring up there too.
Yeah.
As we get older, as the situation changes, sometimes our goals change as well, and that's okay.
One of the things that I was interested in finding out is I saw that you were telling me a little bit about a company that you started, Rabbit Habits. So reaching your goals faster. You talked to me a little bit about that the other day, about how you're writing sort of a book that's sort of a journal
Right.
that's helping people with sort of goal setting and so forth. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate a little bit?
Rabbit Habits it's one of my babies right there. I'm very, very passionate about it because it's going to help. Well, I hope it's going to help change a lot of lives. It's very simple. You guys don't even have to wait for the journal to come out. Uh, Nothing is proprietary about my system except this: read your short-term goals every morning and mark them down as a day passed. So if you want to finish something in 30 days, tomorrow it's 29 days. It's no longer 30. The next day it's 28 days. It's no longer 29. So each day you're going to apply that pressure of reminding yourself, hey, 5 days ago, I said I would finish this in 30 days. So I've got 25 days to finish. And when you do that every morning, that's going to help motivate you. It's going to re-inspire you before you create your to-do list for the day. That's it in short and simple. But yes, we have a book. It's going to be a 6-month journal that's coming out. We're going to be doing a Kickstarter for that hopefully in the next couple months after we're done with the full design, and the layout is going to be very sexy. We're going to give out a free PDF. So if any of you guys do want a free copy, it's all yours. But personally, I'm old school. I love writing in an old, leather, pleather, whatever book, and actually being able to physically touch it. And so that's why we're creating the 6-month planner, and we're going to make it as affordable as possible. And again, it'll be free. I just want to help people, and I want to make money along the way. Here's advice for everybody. Find something you're passionate about, find a way to bring value, and then monetize on that. There's nothing wrong with it.
There you go. Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with making money, and most of us make money in some way to just be able to get by. There's nothing wrong with making a little extra so you can get by in a little bit of style. And even if you make a lot of money, you could, then a lot of people, I've gotten comments about, well, why do you want to make money? I was like, well, I actually live a pretty simple life and probably wouldn't change that a whole lot, except for maybe adding in a little more traveling. But I actually could then, help out a lot of organizations and people that I see with problems. So there's always different personal motivation towards, each of your goals, and you need to know what those are to be able to follow any particular goal.
Yeah, most definitely.
One of the things that I'm always interested in finding out about people is I sort of like to start at the sort of the negative end of things, and then we can go to the positive. But I've found that through my life and some of the biggest, hardest points in my life, the biggest crashes, the hardest burns, things that were the most struggling for me to go through, were actually the areas in where I learned the most. I had the most life-changing experiences. They really pushed me through the fire to sort of come out refined a little bit better, hopefully.
It's a tough question because I'm a little bit more positive than the average person. I always see the silver lining, and I think I'm happier because of it. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but I can't help it. So I don't really believe in failures. I believe in learning experiences. So having said that, I think that one of my biggest learning experiences was I owned a job, or I owned a job. I had a job. I owned a business in America for almost 2 years. I was able to open 2 offices in 2 different states. I had one in Omaha, Nebraska, and I had another office in Austin, Texas. And when I opened my second office, it was too much. I grew and expanded faster than what I should have, and it all came down crashing, and I lost it all. But as much as I was a failure, it was more of a learning experience. I don't regret anything. Every step, every struggle, paying myself $100 a week to be able to stay open and be able to still pay my employees and pay my secretary, my recruiting, and keep the office going, and just have enough to really kind of dig myself into a hole slowly for 2 years. As tough as that was, it was a learning experience. And any business that I own from here on out is going to be that much better because of that. So I don't see it as a failure. But that would be one of my biggest, I guess, speed bumps in my road to success.
I completely understand. And I think I share that sort of mentality of looking at everything through what most people would consider rose-colored glasses. I tend to think of the positive, especially even if something's bad. But it is easier looking back on it. I've been through certain parts where you're like, this is horrible. And, but even then, keeping sort of a positive attitude and eventually coming through it helps you to be able to look back and say, okay, I learned a lot of valuable lessons in that time period.
Yeah, here's a couple things for you. So one, to just touch on what you just said. Yeah, everything passes. Even a broken heart. So that's when I've been the lowest of the lowest, is like when there's been a broken relationship. If it's a girlfriend or if it's a family, a friend, and there's something that happens where there's a betrayal or something, that hurts the most because you really can't control it. But even that passes in time. Everything gets easier in time. I have a story. So I was at a pretty low point in my life. This was before I owned my business. I was homeless, living in my car. I was the most organized, cleanest homeless person you knew. My trunk, I had a bag with all my folded shirts and another bag with all my folded pants. And every couple of days, I'd find somewhere to take a shower and shave. But nonetheless, I was going to work. After work, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go except my car. So I'd go to a bar. So then I'd just drink my money away. And it wasn't because I was depressed or an alcoholic, or maybe a little bit, but it was more because there was nowhere to go, right? I didn't have a house. So it's like, well, if I just sit in my car, I'm going to get arrested because I'm loitering. So I'm going to go to a bar. If I'm in a bar, what am I going to do? I'm going to drink. And it becomes a cycle where like now I can't rent a place because all my money's going away into the bar. It's like I'm paying the bar rent, right? But at nights when I would go to sleep in my car curled up because it was an old 1990 Toyota Celica with bucket seats, not very comfortable, I would think to myself, yeah, but I swear to you, this is what I would think to myself. I would think, Joel, when you're laying on a beach someday, you're going to enjoy it so much more than if you weren't going through this shitty time right now. And I would tell myself that while I was sleeping in my car, being miserable, like reminding myself, hey, this is temporary. And later, it's going to be so much more enjoyable because if there wasn't pain in this world, we wouldn't know what happiness is. So I hope that makes sense to some of you.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from probably one of my favorite books is The Count of Monte Cristo. And right at the very end, spoiler alert, the Count tells, I won't mention who, he says, we can only experience the maximum amount of joy, maximum amount of like displeasure or pain. So the depths of our pain can actually if we only have if yours normal and you've experienced this much pain, you can only go to this much happiness. If you've experienced, going to the floor, you can't see my hand, pain, then you can experience that much happiness. And it really is true. If you have, it gives you contrast.
Yep. And not everybody understands that, but if anybody out there is going through a rough time right now, if you can kind of get that around your head, there's nothing more real than that. So I agree 100%.
It makes you enjoy the good times all the more. So, on talking about good times, moving on to positive notes. What would you consider one of your biggest goals, one of your biggest accomplishments to date?
Wow, good question. Well, I would say one of the ones I'm most proud of, I guess, is when I went to high school, I made a choice, and I ended up actually graduating high school in 2 years. So, I'm not super smart. I'm not I was never in AP classes or, I'm not what do they call it? See, I can't even think of words. What do they call it when somebody's super smart?
Like a genius or
Genius, yes. I'm not a genius. I might think I'm a genius, but I'm not really a genius, right? I'm just average. It just goes to show that if you put your mind to something and work really hard, anybody can accomplish it, anything. So, I was able to graduate high school in 2 years. That's really cool. But obviously, look where I am. For 14 months, I've been traveling the world. I started without anything but a one-way ticket and a friend's floor to sleep on. And I've graduated into having, 6 vacations in the last 14 months. Now I live on beautiful island of Koh Lanta. Every day is like a vacation. I have money invested in multiple businesses. I paid off my private, or my personal loans that I had in the U.S. So I guess the last 14 months of my life are probably my biggest goal accomplishment to date.
Phenomenal. All right. So just as a little side note, tell me a little bit about that first jump into, leaving the U.S., just being like, that's it, time to move. I want to do X. Can you walk us through a little bit of was there a particular goal in mind? You have it sort of set out, you set it out for us that you're traveling for 5 years, spending 6 to 12 months in any one location, doing some vacationing in between. Was that all a goal that you had set up beforehand, or is that something that you have sort of developed over leaving?
The vacation part turned out being a lot easier than I planned, so that was kind of added. The original plan was to work from home, giving me time, a more time freedom. Um, my last job, I was not only wasting time at the office, but also wasting an hour each direction commuting. So I wanted to regain my time, and I wanted financial freedom. I'd recently read a very good book by Tim Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week, and it applies to a lot of different things. But one of the main things that applied to me at that time was, if I can make an American salary while working in a developing country, I can be rich. And that's what I wanted. I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck, barely making it through. Yeah, I had a nice car. Yeah, I had nice clothes. You know, all of this stuff. But I got my paycheck and I'm paying for the car. I'm paying for the clothes. I man, I wasn't even making enough to make it through. I was going back to the pay advance place and paying them back because I owed them money from, having to pay my cell phone bill on time without it being late and having to pay that fee. I was tired of that life. So what I really wanted was, I wanted to be able to be rich. It doesn't everybody. And it's a different way of becoming rich. Some would say it's more risky. Some would say it's more scary. I think it was a lot easier. All I had to do was find a job that paid anything. You can make minimum wage, but if you live in the Philippines, where if you live like a local, all right, and that means it's a different lifestyle from being a Westerner. Um, you can live for $300 a month. That includes your rent, your food, your electric, your water, your cell phone. I mean, everything.
Mm.
So you can work 5 hours a week. Really, if you're making $10, that's $200 a month. All right, let's say if you work 7 hours a week, making $10 an hour, you could live. Versus working 40 to 60 hours and barely making it. I mean, just that lifestyle, that change right there alone was what I was looking for. And that's what I was going for. As well as, I did want to travel the world, because one of my lifelong goals was always traveling the world and seeing everything. And I always thought that I had to work my entire life and be rich and old to be able to do that. And thanks to technology now, I've discovered that no, I can just work from home and do it at the same time.
Exactly.
And from experience from traveling, short and long term, I knew that I wanted to get to know the cultures and not just pass by. And that's when I decided to do 6 to 12. So 6 to 12 was from the beginning, and financial and time freedom were the two things that I was looking for. I ended up finding a lot more, though. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. You basically had, a set goal, and it got added onto as you were, working towards the accomplishment of that.
Yeah, for sure.
What are sort of take us to right now then? We've mentioned a few things. You're working on the Rabbit Habit goal book, goal, yeah, book, and then or journal, maybe right term for it.
I don't know. We're making it up. There's no really. There's productivity planners, and then there's goal books. This is a daily goal planner. So we'll go with goal planner.
Okay, perfect. You're traveling, living the life that you've sort of created for yourself. What are some other goals that you have in particular in your life as of right now?
There's a lot, creating Rabbit Habits Go was because I have such a long list of my own personal goals that I actually developed this system for myself. And when a very good friend of mine came to me saying, hey, I have this problem where I feel overwhelmed from having too much on my to-do list, I was like, well, and he said we should create a system. I was like, well, I actually just did. Here, try it out. And it worked wonders for him. So it's a lot to go into, but I think it's important to have long-term goals, your ultimate goals. What do you ultimately want? Do you want a house? Do you want to be able to go on a vacation with your family? What do you want? Then you want to break that down into shorter term goals. If it's a 5-year, 3-year, 1-year goal, on what steps you need to do to make that happen. Say you want a boat, a house, and an airplane, right? Well, the house is going to cost you $500,000. The airplane is going to cost you $200,000, and you can get the boat for $150,000, right? So you're going to need about $850,000 to make that happen. So now you can break down, okay, if I need 850,000, how can I do that? Well, if I put away a certain amount every month for 10 years, I can do that. Or if I start 2 new businesses that create an extra $2,000 a month each, then I can hit this goal in 5 years. And by doing that, you can really break it down into something that's more concrete. So I have personal goals that include a lot of financial stuff that I want to share with my family and with other people. I have,
Which I think a lot of us probably have similar goals, wanting to, support your parents in older age,
right,
live a life that would be comfortable and healthy and one for yourself as well.
right. Or if you have kids, the same, right? Be able to put them through college or whatnot. And that's very important to figure out, because when everything else feels lost and you feel like giving up, you need to know your why. Why am I doing this? What is my inspiration? What is the end result? I have one of my cool goals. Actually, I want to help 10 people reach what I call freedom, which is what I'm doing so far. So, for example, last year I had a friend reach out. Well, I had many friends reach out.
Okay.
Very few actually take action. But I had one take action. I said, hey, man, come stay with me in China. I'll get you a job. I'll give you a room to stay in. I can't do that for everybody, but I was able to do that at the time for him. And yeah, I'll help you out. I'll show you the ropes. And now he's got a very good job. He's been living in China for about 6 months. He's taken about 3 vacations of his own. Last I heard, he had a 3-bedroom apartment. So he's doing very well. And I want to help do that again for 10 people altogether. So that's one of my fun goals, I would say. And success. I mean, any business that I'm involved in, I want it to be successful. So it's hard to really answer. I have so many goals, but I hope that's good enough for you.
Sure. And I mean, I think it comes down to one of the things I try to tell people is, nobody's going to run through, nobody's going to even wake up early to go to a dirty gym or to go on a vacation to, for example, Kansas, I don't know, or somewhere in the mid states. There's not a lot happening there. Maybe you have some family there, but you're not going to wake up an hour early. You're not going to, focus and remember to do something day after day for that type of a goal. You have to set a goal that's really going to motivate you, something that touches you, something that motivates you to want to push, something that you can say, okay, this is what I really want. It's a dream. It's a passion. And thus, gives you that drive, that motivation, that positive energy to even when you're exhausted, you're tired, you had a shitty day, you can step back and ask yourself, why am I doing this again? You can go to that, for example, your daily journal and be like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. And boom, you all of a sudden, your energy that you had put down or read or wrote down as your goal, and that positive energy that you put into that, then, when you're down on energy and you basically read that again, boom, all of a sudden you're giving yourself energy. It's a neat phenomena that I think is really helpful, because sometimes you have somebody else who you can call up and be like, hey, I need to talk about things and I need you to help me out. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just need to motivate yourself. And that's one of the really good ways of doing that, I've found.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have mentors are the best, and then peers that are at your level. And they have to be not somebody that's your age, but somebody that has the same kind of mentality and thinks the way that you do, or has more experience doing what you've been doing. And then and then third is, check yourself up, check up from the neck up, right? Be able to look at what you've done and one, re-inspire yourself when necessary, and two, kind of slap yourself, be like, here's a question I like to ask myself, right? If I was my own employee, would I fire myself? You'd be surprised how many times you're like, damn, I'm late. Like, I cut that corner. If I caught my employee cutting that corner, would I have cut him slack, or would I have yelled at him? And you got to be honest with yourself. I would yell at myself way more than I want to admit. So, good question to ask yourself is, if I was my own employee, would I let this slide?
Sure. Sure. Hold yourself accountable. Excellent.
Yeah.
Speaking of like accomplishing certain goals and holding yourself accountable, when you were, I'm gonna focus on the one goal that you had said, is sort of your biggest goal to date, which is living abroad, working online, creating an income that is more than you actually need to live wherever that may be, and being able to basically do what you want to do in the foreseeable future. Um, how did you go about accomplishing that? Was it something you just sort of thought up, you know, wrote down, did by yourself? Was it something you had, a mentor working with you with? Was it friends? Was it books? What was that? What was the help or the thing that was helping you through or making that sort of decision?
I think I mentioned it earlier. Book by Tim Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week, is really what started everything, and kind of um, I would call that a mentor through a book.
Okay.
And obviously then his podcast and all that good stuff as well. But that was kind of like what opened my eyes to like, hey, this is actually possible. And then I was lucky enough to actually have a good friend who had left America about 5 years earlier to live in China. His dad worked out there, but then he decided to stay out there and teach. And we all thought he was crazy. Right? What are you doing? In China? Like, you're stupid. And then I'm like, hey, man, yeah, I'm trying to find a job. I want to go live in a third world country, or not third. I want to go live in a developing country, and but I need to find a job. I'm trying to convince my boss right now that I can do my same, because I was doing in-house sales, so calling, trying to set up appointments. I was like, I can do that from home. So I was trying to convince my current boss to let me do that from home. And then he's like, dude, just teach English online. He's like, I can get you a job. No big deal. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I went, and I'm very self-motivated. So I got an interview. I got the job that same day. I bought a one-way ticket to go stay out on his floor, where he said I could go stay with him, which also I was very fortunate to have. And I think taking that, just doing it, right? The longer we wait, it's like, if you go bungee jumping or you go cliff jumping, the longer you think about it to jump, the harder it is to take that jump. If you just walk up there and somebody's like, all right, you got to go 1, 2, 3, and you just run and jump, as scary as it is, it's a lot less scary than if you sit up there and you look over the edge and you think, and you're like, oh man, okay, 1, 2, oh no, wait, okay, I can do it. And the longer you do that, the harder and harder it gets. Excuse me.
Not a problem. Waiting on
so same thing. I saw an opportunity. I understood, hey, if I make money from home and I live in a developing country, as soon as I leave America, I cut about $2,000 of expenses out of my life automatically, just from rent, car payments, cell phone, all of that stuff put together. Also, cost of living is so much cheaper. Instead of what most people want to do is be a little safer, and maybe I'm crazy, but they want to save. They want to build that bank account and have, $3,000, $5,000, whatever, an emergency money before they leave.
Yeah,
it takes so long to do that. It's so hard to do that living in America when you're already living a paycheck to paycheck. If I could save $3,000 or $5,000 a year, I would be taking vacations in America and not worry about it. But it's so hard to save money, because the more you make, the more you save, the more you spend. So I just moved. I saw the opportunity, and a week later I was out of the country. I had a couple $100 to my name. That helped me get through the first month, because you only need a couple hundred, right? Especially if you got a friend's floor to sleep on. All you have to pay for is food. And if people are worried about, the ticket was $450, to go all the way across the world. If you don't have $450, do you have a couch? Do you have a car? Do you have a PlayStation? Do you have a TV? You don't need any of that crap. Sell all of it. If you just sell all of your belongings that you think you need, you'll have the money instantly, and you can just
find out you don't need them.
Yeah, and then you can buy shirts abroad.
Even speaking of couches, there's a lot of people. I've met so many people, and it was something I've known about for I don't even know how many years, a decade almost maybe now. There's a website called Couch Surfing. You can go online. It's like a Facebook, and you just ask people, hey, can I stay with you? Just the other day, or I guess about a month ago now, I had a guy from Brazil, a doctor who lived a year in deepest Amazon. He was, working with tribes. He was coming here to practice his English so he could do doctors working abroad program. And so he was just, stayed on my couch, or well, we actually have a spare room. So he stayed in our spare room for, 3 days, free.
Mm-hmm.
There's thousands of people around the world in multiple countries and multiple cities that'll let you stay on their sofa for a while. And
Yeah, what's really cool about that is anybody, you said it's like Facebook, but anybody that signed up is actually volunteering to offer their couch. So it's not like you're just going up to some random person on Facebook like, hey, can I stay with you? No, like that's just why they're on this site. They signed up for that. Exactly. And what's cool is even if you don't want to stay with them, there's a lot of people that will just meet up with you and kind of be your private guide and show you around, and you get that local experience without having to pay a guide that's not even taking you to the real local spots anyways. So yeah, it's a really, really cool site. Definitely. There's a lot of ways to do it.
So many.
and we're just experts at coming up with excuses and reasons to stop us from doing that. So we just need to cut that out of our lives, find the ways that we can get over those humps instead of trying to find more humps to make excuses as to why not to do it. Stop being scared.
I completely agree with you. So Joel, just to close us up here, what would be just real quick, what would be one of the biggest learning experiences you've had in your life?
Just in life, through watching and through personal experience, anything can do anything. Anybody can do anything, right? The minute you tell yourself you can't is when you're gonna fail. So, just keep pushing until you get it done.
Person, book, tool, website, anything that you would recommend as a particular tool to help somebody just in general in their life to move forward, to accomplish goals.
So definitely the 4-hour work week was one of the big ones for me. Something is I really hate reading. I wish I read more books. Audio books is something. So Audible is a great way to do it because it's read to me. Because of my ADD, I just don't pay attention when I read myself. YouTube, I don't have just one person. I think YouTube is such a huge tool because, I might listen to somebody like Tim Ferriss, and then I might listen to somebody like Tai Lopez, or I might listen to somebody, but there's only so much each person has to say before I want more content from other people. London Real is one of my favorite channels on YouTube. He actually goes and interviews so many different awesome entrepreneurs, and you get a lot of cool different views from that one channel. So that's London Real.
Okay.
And then, like we talked about earlier, having a mentor, if you can have one, do it, and if you don't have one, start searching. And you don't just walk up and say, hey, will you mentor me? Try to bring them some kind of value. Ask them out to lunch. Have a conversation with them. Show them that your mind track is kind of on the right path. And then let that mentorship kind of happen naturally. But if you can find a mentor, that's great. And then the other one is surround yourself with like-minded individuals. That doesn't mean surround yourself with the people that you grew up with. It means surround yourself with people that have similar goals or want to grow. Like, for example, you, Henry, I can spend as much time with you as you want because you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if I'm spending my time with people that are goal-oriented and they're growing, then I'm going to go grow all that quicker. One of my biggest influencers is, my business partners, because we have the same type of mentality. Anytime that I have something that I want to do, if it's for our business or just my private business, I'm going to talk to those people and kind of pick their brain and see what they think and let them criticize it or tell me, hey, that's awesome thought. So your closest friends, I think, are a huge tool. So choose wisely.
Yes, it is very true. Sometimes I tend not to even be real good friends with some people because I'm just not the type of person I want in my life. I'm sort of picky about that. So I agree a lot.
And it's not to be mean. It's just, stupid people annoy me. What can I say?
It's do you see your life? You wanna also try to be the person that, you know, it's true in relationships, true in family relationships, and with friends. You want to try to be the friend, the family member, the partner that you want that person to be. You want to give what you want to receive. It's as true as
and anything in life.
exactly.
Anything in life. Business in general, my YouTube channel, I want to bring as much value to entrepreneurs as much as travelers. So that's Living 6 to 12.
Awesome. All right. One quick question. I want to see how this actually plays out. One of the questions I was thinking about that I want to do in future interviews, just to make things sort of fun. If you could go back in time to any point in your life and give yourself one piece of advice that you were pretty sure, or you were sure you were going to listen to, when would you go back and what would you say? Because we all sort of have that looking behind you, 2020 vision. You can be like, man, if I only did X. You also mentioned, hey, everything I've done up to this point has been a learning experience. And so there's a lot of things I'd be like, well, I don't want to change that because that would change who I actually am. But if there was that one point that you could say, hey, I probably could have been where I'm at now quicker if I would have known this at that time, what would you say?
I would point at the girl. I'd say, not that one. No, I'm just kidding. You know, again, that's a tough one to answer because I believe in learning experiences, and I wouldn't be the person that I am now without going through everything that I went through. But when I was 18, I had some inheritance money from a great grandma that I could have spent a lot more wisely. I could have started traveling sooner. So my 18-year-old self, I would probably say travel sooner. Don't get stuck in the rat race. Find a different way, and you know, invest the money wisely, because ultimately it doesn't matter how much money we make. If we have money coming in, then we can be financially wealthy. So invest your money so that you have money coming in without having to work for it. And if you have more money coming in than going out, whatever amount that is, you're wealthy. So I would say invest your money more wisely. But the fun and the experiences that I had wasting that money made me who I am. And you know, and if I wouldn't have partied and been stupid, then maybe now I would want to party and be stupid. I'd be going through a midlife crisis where, you know, I want to go be dumb. So maybe it's good that I got out of my system. Again, I don't have regrets, but I wish I had more money. So yeah, don't waste your money, 18-year-old Joel.
All right. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Joel. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your morning to talk with me. Hopefully, you know, this was of some use and value to whoever's going to, and, you know, we're not, like you said, we're not super geniuses, neither of us. We've just had some certain life experiences that have helped us learn a few things that we'd like to either pass on to somebody else or help somebody else just get through whatever life experience they're at, and, you know, work towards that particular goal that they have in mind and make their lives better. So
yeah, definitely. Well, you're welcome. And you know, I do appreciate the opportunity as well. I feel very honored, and it was fun. And yeah, guys, if this brought value to you guys, if you have any questions for me or Henry, if you want to add links to my website, my blog, all my social media, just send me a DM, ask me anything you guys want, and I'd be happy to help you and give you any advice that could help you guys. Just do it in the comments so like that everybody can read it and benefit from the same question that you might have.
I've been speaking with Joel. You want to give your say?
Yeah, I guess you know, thanks so much for watching. I hope we brought you guys value, and you can always find me at living6to12.com, and have a good one, guys. Thanks, Henry.
Thanks a lot.
Awesome, guys. All right. Well, I really appreciate it. If you've gotten all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. Please hit the like button, share it if you can with your friends and family. Comments you guys can leave, or questions that you have, please leave below. We will do our very best to answer all of those to the fullest range of our ability. Also, if you're all finished here, you can go to my website, lifetravelgoals.com. I have my YouTube video, which you're on now. I also have an Instagram and Facebook community. And the website also allows you to be able to get in touch with me personally, where we can do one-on-one goal setting sessions where I will help you set and accomplish your life travel goal. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye.